Hey, y'all, it's Tim Miller at the Bulwark. I wanted to talk about Donald Trump out there at the Faith and Freedom Conference over the weekend. Talking about how he wants migrants to fight for sport. Yeah, look, sometimes you have to decide which one of these grotesque Trumpian outrages to focus on. But I think it's important to talk about this for a couple of reasons. So let's first, if you missed it, listen to Donald Trump, proposing gladiator for undocumented immigrants.
These people are tough. They're so tough. Dana White. Did anyone ever hear of Dana White? He's a legend, right? UFC, ultimate fighter, ultimate fighting. And he's a fantastic man. I said, Dana, I have an idea. Why don't you set up a migrant league of fighters and have your regular league of fighters? And then you have the champion of your league. These are the greatest fighters in the world. Fight the champion of the migrants. I think the migrant guy might win. That's how tough they are. He didn't like that idea too much, but actually it's not the worst idea I've ever had.
Not the worst idea you ever had, he ends with there. I guess that's true. I guess that's the one sentence there that was smart and true. He's had a lot of really dumb ideas, like the moat and the alligators in the Rio Grande, put some alligators in there so that they could eat the migrants. I mean, I think that he's definitely had a number of stupider ideas, the one that led to the attack on the Capitol, et cetera. We don't need to go through the whole list. But I think this is noteworthy because, this is how Trump works, okay? He tests out material. He tests out material on the road. He sees what the crowd says, and then he goes in more and more if he thinks the crowd is responding. And you notice in that room at the Faith and Freedom Conference, people are laughing.
Why don't you set up a migrant league of fighters?
It's worth taking a step back and thinking about that. This is a conference that is supposedly put on by Ralph Reed to celebrate political activism for Christians. What is Christian about taking people that are fleeing their country and trying to find safety for their family and putting them in like a dog fighting arena, treating them like animals, treating them in a way you wouldn't even treat dogs, putting them in an arena and having them fight for sport? Does that sound very Jesus-like? Does that sound very Christ-like? Not to me. I mean, I don't think that, the golden rule matches very well with having your neighbor, literally, in the neighboring country, who is struggling, who is experiencing financial duress, who's experiencing threats from gangs, in order to entertain yourself, have them fight each other. Maybe throw some coins in there. It's despicable. And Trump does it because for two reasons. One, because he thinks it works. And it did work in the room, is he thinks that if he positions these immigrants not as people fleeing and trying to come to the land of milk and honey, trying to, if he positions these people not as the poor and huddled masses yearning to breathe free, but as instead some superhuman, some inhuman monsters who want to come rape and pillage, then he can get more support for his heinous policies like child separation and the wall, et cetera. And so that's why he does this. He does it to other them and to, make white people, let's be honest, feel better about their hatred, feel more justified in their hatred. He does it to try to make the left seem like wimps, Oh, the left isn't tough enough. They're not tough enough. They're not willing to defend you, even though crime is down now, even though the border crossings were down last month, even though crime really peaked actually during the fourth year of the Trump presidency, which he likes to memory hole. It's this masculineness. It's this toughness, alpha. The left's too weak to make migrants fight for sport. So that's why he does it. And he does this in kind of a joshing way. When they asked Dana White if this really happened, a reporter actually did some reporting and asked Dana White, did Trump really suggest this to you? He said, yeah, I thought it was a joke.
Did Donald Trump ask you to make a migrant fighting league?
It's a joke, yeah.
He said it wasn't his, he said he didn't think it was his worst idea ever, but you weren't into it.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. I saw everybody going crazy online. But yeah, he did say it.
Sure, I don't think it was a serious recommendation that we take people fleeing Guatemala and put them in an arena and have them fight each other and then have the winner of the fight the toughest UFC man I guess that's true. I guess that's wasn't a serious suggestion, but it wasn't like a ha joke. If you just think a joke is simply mocking other people and dehumanizing them, then I guess it's a joke in that sense. But that's what Dana White said. And I guess he's trying to get some levity. Some people are laughing, but there's a more serious message that he's going to pair with this. And I think it's something that we're going to see in the debate this week, which is why this is important to talk about. And I expect that Trump at the debate is going to try to make Joe Biden responsible for some tragic deaths recently of young women who were killed by people that were here in this country illegally. That there was this big brouhaha after the State of the Union about Laken Riley, who was murdered.
An innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself.
There have been a couple of other instances of this recently, and where Donald Trump has, called the family members of the victims, which is out of character for him. And so, he's doing this from a performative standpoint. It's not like Donald Trump cares about anybody besides himself. But so then what's the performance? What's the point? Well, I expect that he'll bring some of these family members of people who were killed by undocumented immigrants to the debate, in the same way that in 2016 he brought some of Bill Clinton's former lovers to the debate to try to troll Hillary. And he's going to try to make this an issue. He's trying to say that Joe Biden doesn't care. Joe Biden's too weak. He doesn't care. All these big, super powerful men that could even beat UFC fighters, these inhuman monsters are coming into this country and they're raping and killing your children, and Joe Biden doesn't care. And so I think it's important for Joe Biden to take this issue very seriously, because he has to demonstrate that he does care. Also demonstrate the facts that Donald Trump doesn't only cares about people who were killed if they're killed by migrants. On balance, more murders per capita happen from citizens of America than from immigrants or people that are not citizens, and that doesn't make anything okay. You have to have empathy, and I do, and Joe Biden I'm sure does have empathy for the families of these young women that were killed. You've got to speak to that. You've got to speak to how you support law and order, how you want people to be held responsible for their crimes, even if they're in your own family. In Joe Biden's case, even if they're your political opponent. In Joe Biden's case, you've got to take that mantle of law and order away from the criminal. Demonstrate passion and anger that these heinous crimes happen, but at the same time, also say that Donald Trump is partly responsible for this. Donald Trump killed the bipartisan effort to deal with immigration at the border. Donald Trump oversaw the spike in violent crime that happened during 2020 in this country. Donald Trump doesn't care about mass shootings. Donald Trump stood in the way of efforts to try to take weapons of war out of the hands of people that are domestic abusers, the people that are likely to commit crimes, teenagers who have no need to have semi-automatic rifles. And so that's a more nuanced position. Obviously, Joe Biden's got to demonstrate empathy and strength about people that are coming into this country illegally and committing crimes, while also contrasting strongly with Donald Trump. That's a lot harder to do than Donald Trump. It's easy to just make fun of migrants and insult them and dehumanize them. That's easy. What Joe Biden has to do is a little more challenging. But if he can do it, if he can pull it off, if he can demonstrate empathy and strength, that's a much more popular place to be. That's where most Americans are. That's where the big middle of this country is. Not in a place where they want to insult and deride everyone who wants to come here to this nation of immigrants, to this shining city on the hill. They don't want that. And they also don't want, free reign. They also don't want to live in anarchy, right? They want people who respect the law to come into this country. And that's a fair middle ground to be. If Joe Biden can take that mantle, can make Donald Trump seem like the asshole that he is, then I think it will be a winner for him this week. I'm going to Atlanta, so I'll be there live. We'll have some of these takes from the spin room. So make sure you're subscribing to this feed at the Bulwark, and I'll be keeping you posted on everything related to this huge debate coming on Thursday night. We'll see you then. Hey, if you like this video and our content, I'd love for you to become a Bulwark Plus member. You get bonus podcasts, you get bonus newsletters, you get bonus takes from me that maybe don't come up on the YouTube feed. You can try it out for free at thebulwark.com/free trial. The link is below in the description. We'd love to have you as a member of our community. We have great commenters and great opportunities for people who want to protect democracy.